So I'm gonna start off with my introduction. For those of you all who don't know me, my name is Darcel Edwards. I'm the founder and CEO of Blink Social, and you're now tuned in to LinkedIn, a virtual event where we have different speakers from different industries coming on, sharing their experiences about their industry. And right now we have my good friend Sid Darden, who is the founder of Darden Defense. He's gonna share with us a lot of information about guns and gun safety and just knowledge to be a gun owner. And especially in today's climate, I feel like this is a necessary conversation. So all that being said, here's Sid. Sid, how you doing today, brother?
Man, I'm good. I'm good, man. I appreciate the warm welcome, man. To everybody, my name's Sid. Welcome again. To introduce myself formally, I'm Sid Darden, owner of Darden Defense and Protection LLC out here in DMB. So the goal of my business is really to arm and educate the Black community about guns, right? And why it's so easy to get a gun in America, yet few Black people have them, right? And so a little background about myself. I am a recent Howard University graduate, 2019. I currently work at the Department of State. I currently doing my master's degree in Homeland Security and Emergency Management at Purdue University while I await my commission as an officer in the U.S. Air Force, right? As far as guns go, I'm a USCCA or United States Concealed Carry Association handgun instructor, as well as an NRA certified handgun instructor. I'm certified in home defense with the NRA, certified handgun instructor with the Maryland State Police, soon to be NRA shotgun instructor. That was canceled due to COVID, as well as my trip over to Utah to become a Utah handgun instructor, right? So I'll open it up to questions, get right in. Do
Okay.
you want to start off,
Yeah,
Darcel?
I'll start off with my first question. But if anybody has a question at any time that's listening, be sure feel free to type it into the chat down at the bottom. You can type any questions for Sid, and then I'll be sure to ask him. But I guess the first question that I ask, hey Kayla, Kayla just came on. Kayla is our CMO. But to the first question that I have is during this like current climate of I guess social injustice and with everything going on, why is it important for Black men and women to be gun owners?
So I knew that question was going to come up, man. Um, and I'll answer that like this, man. Man, I was in high school for Trayvon Martin, right? I was in high school, and then it was Tamir and Philando Castile, right, and Sandra Bland, and I'm from St. Louis, so Mike Brown was a part of me deciding to come to Howard, right? And I remember, marches and protests and everything like that for all of them, right? And I feel like we sometimes get trapped in a cycle, right, of saying, I'm mad, I'm saying, I have all these emotions and I'm hurt and I'm traumatized because I'm in the Black community and this is my brother or this is my son or my best friend that's been killed by the police, right? And we get caught in this cycle that's like, okay, let me march and protest and scream at somebody because I'm so mad, you know, and it's a cycle because that happens, those protests happen, and after a couple of weeks, everybody, emotions die down, and you kind of forget about it. You see here and there on Twitter, a tweet will say, remember Philando Castile or remember Sean Reed, and you'd be like, oh yeah, I remember, man, that was crazy. And nothing ever comes from it. No political action, nothing ever comes from it. It's like we're trapped in a system, right? That's meant to keep us in, And for me, I feel as though the only people talk about, this political action as far as, making penalties and stuff like that for police and doing things like that, or uh, gun laws, regardless of why you need a gun law, but just changing gun laws. The only way that I see gun laws changing is if more Black people start getting guns. You know what I mean? The people that they don't want having guns, having legal guns. And another reason that I feel that it's essential is to protect yourself and your loved ones. I got the question on Twitter because I just like everybody else in the Black community, I was pissed off when I saw the video, of George Floyd. And, I tweeted and I'm just like, man, this is why we need to protect ourselves, and Joey, our profile, our frat brother, he's just like, man, what you think we're gonna shoot the police? And oftentimes I'm not saying to go out and shoot the police. That's not what I'm saying at all. All I'm saying is to defend yourself versus any situation that comes about, right? So me and mine are always protected, no matter where I'm at. My mom's on this call right now. You know what I mean? My girlfriend, my sister, my dad, whoever I'm with, we're protected. So in short, yes, if somebody's killing you, Darcel, one of my best friends, he got his foot on your neck and he's not letting up, legal action will ensue. I'm not going to say too much, but legal action will ensue.
So what are some of the like common misconceptions that you hear about gun ownership, and why, like, the negative connotations that come with gun ownership?
So that's a part of the reason that I even started this business. There's this stereotype, or stigma around Black gun ownership in America, and I feel like we're reared in that. We're just raised up in this system where you have to be a dope dealer or a gangbanger, or some felonious person to have a gun if you're Black. When you see me out, all those prior accolades that I mentioned at the beginning of this broadcast, right? That doesn't matter because you'll probably see me out in a wife beater, with the gold grill in my mouth, and I'm chilling, and you don't know who that is, but I'm Black, right? And so if I told you that I have 10 guns, you're gonna think that I'm a felon, right? And that goes with that's the thought process with Black people. That's the thought process with obviously white people, and it's like, to me, it's like, why is that? Why is that a thing? And why are people so afraid in the Black community of owning guns legally? And so that's kind of the myths and stereotypes and the stigmas that I want to dispel in the Black community. Have my people take up arms.
Okay, so I feel like a big problem that people, like, when it comes to gun ownership, and a major concern is that people have is gun safety. So how do you educate people on gun safety, and what are, like, proper ways on obtaining a gun, and, like, kind of take us through that process?
Okay. So as far as obtaining the gun, it's really based on your state, right? So I can get into that later. But the first part of your question, so gun safety, right? I always take them through either my NRA or USCCA course, right? And it's basically a slideshow. And gun safety is, at the fundamental level, is common sense. The 3 safety laws for NRA, they always talk about never pointing a gun at somebody, never having your finger on the trigger unless you're ready to shoot, and never having it loaded unless it's ready to use. If you follow any one of those rules, nobody will get hurt, right? If I don't point my gun at you, you're not going to get hurt. If I keep my finger off the trigger, you're not going to get shot. It's a gun. It's not some, robot with AI that's going to kill somebody, right? I know you've heard the rhetoric that guns or people kill people, not guns. Guns don't kill people, right? But my thing is, man, gun safety, all you have to do is take a class. I feel as though, especially in our community, the culprits are usually Black men who, they get guns and they don't want to take a class, right? They don't want to take any training. They don't want to come see me because they have pride, right? They have a gun now and they feel as though, as a man, I should know how to use this. You know what I'm saying? I shouldn't have to go ask Sid about how to safely operate this. I have a girlfriend or a wife or a sister, and as a man, I should show her how to use this gun. But in all actuality, all they're doing is showing her the wrong way to use it, or safely operate it. And one story that I usually share in all of my classes is the young lady. She was a Michigan State student. Maybe you've heard this story, but she was a Michigan State student. This past Christmas, this past December, she was on obviously Christmas break from school. I think she was a freshman or a sophomore. She went back home, and her boyfriend had just got a new gun. And how we are when we get something new. You know what I'm saying? Something that's supposed to be manly. You know, he like, hey, baby, I got this gun, blah, blah, blah. He's waving it around, pointing it at her, finger on the trigger, things like that, right? He shoots her, and now she gone, right? Somebody's daughter, sister, classmate is gone. 18-year-old baby, she's gone because he didn't want to take a class. You know what I'm saying? He got a gun, which is a huge responsibility, and he didn't want to properly take a class and go about every precautionary method in order to learn safe handling of that firearm, right? So that's my stance on gun safety. And then also too, just extending this to everybody in here right now. If you have any questions or at any time you come up, you're thinking to yourself, you're not sure about what to do as it pertains to guns or firearms or anything, you can always hit me up. Questions are free. I'm not charging for no questions. You can hit me up, IG, Twitter, text me, email me, whatever it is. I love talking about guns. So if I don't know the answer, I'll find it out and we'll learn together.
Okay, another question that I have, we have a lot of Black women in this space. Why is it important for Black women to protect themselves with different guns and firearms?
True. So before this this call, I was actually on another Zoom call. I was teaching a class for the handgun qualification license in Maryland, and I had a young lady on there named Lauren, and I was just telling her, it's often said that oh, you're a woman, you need a little 380 that you could put in your purse, right? Or you need a little gun, right? Or yeah, that's a misconception too, because little guns usually have more kick, right? Or recoil, right, as we call it. And so I just think that it's important for women to, one, get educated, right? Because of, little misconceptions like that. Whereas, okay, Johnny from the gun store told me to go ahead buy me a little snub nose 38, and you put it in your purse and you shoot it, and you hate it. You hate shooting it. You don't ever want to rely on something that you hate to shoot to save your life, right? But I think it's more important for women to, in the Black community, to guard themselves and defend themselves with firearms, because Black women are being targeted just as much as we are, but most times it's not recorded. It's been a history of this in the country, and I feel like we don't talk about that enough. We talk about, as I've said, the Mike Browns, the George Floyds, and everything like that, because Black men are being killed, what I'm saying, at an exponential rate. But we never talk about, the Black women, scarcely a person who talks about Sandra Bland to this day, and it's like, to me, we're equal, so you should defend yourself just as much as I have the right to defend myself, and I have the want to defend myself, right? So that's how it is with me.
Okay. Before I get into my next question, if anybody on the call would like to ask a question, feel free to type it in the chat. I'll be reading them off to Sid, and he will get answers for you in the best way possible. But Sid, I know we talked a lot about why people should own guns in different scenarios. Can you take us into kind of like the legal process of obtaining the guns and how it may be different in different states?
Okay, so all states are different, right? All states are different. Up here in the DMV, it's pretty hard. It's pretty hard to obtain a gun. I'll say that. I won't say that. Excuse me, I misspoke. It's not hard. It's just a lot of hoops that you have to jump through in order to obtain a gun. In DC, I'm going through a process right now where you have to have the gun transferred in, right, to DC, but there's only one person who transfers in all the firearms for all 700,000 people who live in DC, right? So it's a huge process, right? there's the difference between may issue states and shall issue states, right? As far as concealed carrying and things like that. So in a may issue
Hey,
state, you can look.
can you tell us what the difference between, or what is May issue and the other one you mentioned?
Yeah. So with a may issue state, right? And you can, always look this up. There's an app, it's called the USCCA app. You can just download it and see, which state you live in. But so a may issue for a concealed carry license, right, is like Maryland or Delaware, where you have to fill out an application. Sometimes it requires you paying some money, and then you send off that application, submit it, and if you have a good enough reason, they may issue your ass a license, or they may not. Even though that you over 21 with no felonies, they may issue you a license, right? But a shall issue state is if you're over 21 with no felonies, you're not, crazy. You haven't been submitted to any mental institutions or anything like that. You will get your concealed carry, right? And so those days varies. My DC concealed carry took 90 days. It's a 90-day waiting period for DC. Took 3 months to get here. And then my Utah concealed carry, it took probably like 40 days, 45 days or something like that to get here. So it varies based on, how lenient they are or the laws are in that state, right?
Can you explain what a concealed carry is, and how not every state has it, but you could still possibly obtain a gun, and like kind of like the procedures of that?
Okay. So yeah, not every state has what's called concealed carry, right? Some people say pistol license or concealed pistol license, CPL or CCW, concealed carry of a deadly weapon. And so basically what it is, right, is it's just a card that you get, just like a driver's license. It's a government issue ID saying that you can do something that the average citizen can't do, right, which is conceal a deadly weapon or a pistol, right? So through that, it's different states have different processes, right? For example, DC, you have to be over, like I said, over 21 with no felonies. You can be a resident of DC or a non-resident. Doesn't matter. What you do is you just apply. They take your fingerprints, things like that. Most times, Virginia, Utah, DC, Maryland. So most of the states that I'm familiar with, they take your fingerprints and they issue a license if you're a shall issue state, right? Like as I said. And so with that, some other states, they have it to where they have a constitutional carry. And what a constitutional carry is, just like in Missouri, Mississippi, if you live in those states, right, you can carry, and you have, I'm pretty sure you have to have a license from that state. You can carry your gun concealed without having, a license or a CCW, right? Because it's a constitutional right to bear arms, right? So not every state has that dynamic, right, of a CCW, but most do. And as far as obtaining, you were saying, Darcel, obtaining a firearm, it's very easy to obtain a firearm in America, right? If like I've said, if you have those, characteristics of being over 21 and with no felonies, right, it's very easy. All you do is you can go down to your local gun store or online, even they sell guns online. You buy a gun, and let's say you're buying a gun online. You go to a gun store, you purchase it, and you choose what's called an FFL, or a federal firearms licensee holder. And what they do is that gun store will ship that gun, because guns can't just get shipped to your house. They'll ship that gun to that gun store, or whoever has that FFL, right, that federal license, and then you go to that store to pick it up. And so what that FFL will do is they'll transfer you to firearm after, looking you up and making sure, with the ATF that you can have a firearm. You know what I'm saying? You haven't been charged with a felony, you're over 21, things like that. All right. So it's pretty easy. In Maryland, if there's any Maryland residents in here today, y'all can go to the gun store right now and get a long gun, like a shotgun or a rifle, AR-15, right now today, and walk out same day. It takes probably 10 minutes for that background check to come through. And y'all walk out just like, most of the southern states, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi, Missouri, you can go buy a long gun and walk out, but handguns may take, I know in Maryland, handguns take 7 days, a 7 day waiting period. But after that, you're good.
Okay. Where I know you just mentioned some states, but for like if you for the states that you didn't mention, where can people go and find more information about those states and about obtaining a gun in their states? Like, is there a website that people can go on and look up? What's that? What does that look like?
So you can go ahead and go on, what I recommend is USCCA, right? It's just those letters, USCCA, and then their website, right? USCCA.org or .com. It'll take you to, they have a bunch of different tools that you can use on there. So they have what's called reciprocity maps. So for example, I have a DC concealed carry, a Virginia concealed carry, a Maryland concealed carry, and a Utah concealed carry, right? But with only those 4 concealed carry cards, I'm good to carry in I don't know how many states, right? So, for example, just with my Utah concealed carry, people ask, why do you have a Utah concealed carry if you've never been to Utah, you don't plan to go? With a Utah concealed carry, I have what's called reciprocity in 31 states, meaning that I can go to Delaware and visit my parents or, people like that if I want to, and I can still carry my gun because I have the same, or they have reciprocity with my state, if that makes sense, right? So as far as, what was the first question you had, Darcel?
No, I was just asking you, like, for people that don't live in the states that you mentioned, where can they find more information
Yeah,
about their
okay.
state so they can know they're going through the correct process?
Yeah, so they also have an app too, like USCCA. You just type in USCCA app, and they have an app for you, which has all the tools that I just mentioned on there. And they also have a little information section where you can look up your state laws, right? And get educated on your state laws.
Okay. So now I want to shift gears to actually once you obtain a firearm, like how much should a person be practicing? How much should they be going to the gun range? What does that look like for you?
Okay. Well, what does it look like for me, man? Look, man, you're not gonna play like I don't got guns. I got guns. You know what I'm saying? So look, man. So going to the range, you should fit into your schedule. You know what I'm saying? Just like not as much as walking the dog or something like that if you're not an avid shooter. But to me, that's one, it's a part of my livelihood and it's a hobby of mine, right? It's something I really like to do. So I go quite often, right? But as just a regular gun owner, I say, man, try to get out there at least once a month, right? At least once a month. Hopefully more. I always say if you can, afford to, because shooting costs money, right? The range fees, and then you got to buy bullets, eye protection, ear protection, things like that, or targets. It costs money, right? So if you can afford to, try to make it like a every Saturday or Sunday thing, or Tuesdays after work, where nobody's in the range, you can just go and somebody yelled at you today, or your boss was passive aggressive. Let's just get that off your chest at the range, but at least once a month, you should be going in and shooting, right? And then I also recommend like cleaning. It varies based on the gun. you know. Glocks, I have, some friends in the NRA who never clean their Glocks, but they lubricate them, right? And so we can go into depth about that a little more another time if you have a question about that. But lubricate and maintain your firearms, at all times. It's really just something you can do while you're watching TV.
Okay. And we're coming up closing to the end, but before we get that one, I want to ask another question. What do you go over in your course? And like, if people can't come to the DMV area to visit to take your course, what should they be looking for in a course when talking about firearms?
Okay. So I have a bunch of different courses, right? But if you're looking for like a shooting lesson course, right? Or let's say you're doing a concealed carry course, you always want to, the first thing you start out with is safety, right? And the things you should look for in an instructor is, okay, the class is starting. If something happens, who's calling 911? If something happens, do they have a medical kit? If something happens, like that's the kind of instructor that you want, right? You want somebody who doesn't click through the slides, and okay, this is what a slide stop is. You want somebody who's actually going to get you up, interacting, and putting your hands on the guns, because you can see a picture on a slideshow, but it is nothing like holding a Glock, man. It's nothing like holding something in your hands, right? And okay, this is a firearm. This shoots bullets. You know what I mean? So that's the biggest thing. And so after that, you want to make sure that they really press safety. If they're with the USCCA, the Universal Safety Laws, there's 4 of them for the USCCA, and the NRA, they press 3. Then you want to look for how they talk about guns, right? So do they know what they're talking about? You want to know nomenclature, right? The parts of the guns. Are they receptive to questions? How is their attitude, right? So that's the main part after safety, attitude, because if I'm asking you, Darcel, like, hey, man, you know what a hang fire is? You know how to clear, stovepipe jam, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you don't know, and I'm cussing at you because you don't know why you're in my class, I have a bad attitude. And so you aren't available, right, emotionally to receive the knowledge or the skills that I'm trying to impart to you, right? So you want an instructor who's understanding, right, takes their time and they're patient with you, because I love people who haven't shot before or don't, know anything about guns, because then I can build them up and teach them the proper way to handle, conceal, own, operate firearms, right? Whereas, as I've talked about before here in this session, people who like us, macho men, right? I get those a lot in class, who don't know how to shoot and don't know how to safely handle a gun, but they have so much pride that it's like they're not receptive to the knowledge and skills that I'm trying to impart, right?
Okay, cool. Well, as we wrap up, can you tell people where they can find you, where they can find your website, and get more information about you?
Okay, yeah. So always, man, on all my platforms, right? Twitter, Instagram, is Darden Defense, right? That's DARDEN, Darden Defense, DEFENSE, right? At Darden Defense on Twitter and Instagram. You can also follow me through there. And then I have, what else, man? Do I want to give my actual Twitter handle, or do I want to stay in the bushes, man? I want to stay mystical.
Yeah, you can just stay in the bushes.
Yeah, I say it like that. But yeah, man. Anytime you have any questions or you're thinking about guns, anything dealing with firearms, inbox those pages, message me. DardenDefense@gmail.com. Everything is Darden Defense, right? If you want to message me, my website is DardenDefense.com. If you want to go on there, look over, book a session, anything that you can think of about firearms, just hit me up, message me, text me if you have my number. So whatever. I love talking about guns. This is my thing. So I appreciate everybody tuning in and listening to me ramble on about guns. Appreciate you too, Darcel.
All right, I appreciate you, and for everybody that's watching, reason why I asked Sid to come on here was because he's very knowledgeable about guns and gun safety, and in that space, there's not too many Black men who are knowledgeable about these things. So it's important that we use these resources, even if you may not feel safe with getting a firearm or getting a gun. It's important to just be able to have these resources in our community, in our corner. So, like Sid said, feel free to reach out to him. He's a great guy, and even if he can't help you, I know he'll get you in the right direction. So thank you again, Sid.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you for watching our Blink Social series. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Follow us on social media to join our community and stay up to date. Blink Social, highlighting everything behind the links. Made you blink.